We are discussing mathematical reasoning. So, mathematical reasoning in normal language or in normal conversation, normal life, the difference between human being and the other species is we have the power, ability of reasoning. I'm not saying that the other species don't have it. They have it, but the power of ability of reasoning is with us. That is how we are ruling the world, not the animals, the other species. So that is how we vary distinction. That is, we say someone is an IITian, someone is from a private college. Like this is what we say. That is, we see the ability to reasoning as IQ level or kind of reasoning, that is finding out things from something which is there. So two types of reasoning are there: inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Two types of reasoning we are going to talk about in mathematical language. We have already seen about mathematical induction. In mathematical induction, basically it was inductive reasoning. So if it is true for say 1, then for x plus 1, it is true for x and x plus 2, then we say, oh, it will be true for every x. This is inductive reasoning. We are talking about deductive reasoning. So whenever we talk about mathematical reasoning, we are deductive reasoning we are discussing. For example, it's raining or it's rained. What do? We have to take the umbrella. So this is how we deduce things. You will not find any animal who will take umbrella or make even an umbrella. This is what reasoning we have. So before we go ahead, let us see certain terms that I'll be using again and again. First is statement. So English statement first we'll talk about, and then I'll tell you what about the mathematical statement. So whenever we discuss, or multiple people are discussing, we say certain things. We say statements, okay, in different ways, different ideas and thoughts we share. But our way of sharing these ideas and thoughts depending upon the situation, what kind of scenario we are talking. I'm not talking about English here. I'm talking about communication. Communication between two people, multiple people. How do we talk? In what way we talk? What are the behavior? So let me start with the assertive sentence. What is an assertive sentence? It's also called as a declarative sentence. So this sentence is very important because this is going to be final mathematical statement, right? So just understand this. When a sentence that makes an assertion is called an assertive sentence, or you are declaring something, that is a declarative sentence. Right? For example, I am Raja. I am a king. This is a assertive sentence. For example, Mars supports life. So the Mars is one of the planet and it has life. This is you are asserting something. You are declaring something. So this is assertive, right? Please be very attentive. Assertive sentence is going to come again. Second is imperative sentence. Imperative sentence, here a sentence when you are requesting something. Please give me this, please bring me that. Or a command. Do this. Why haven't you done this? Please do this. Okay. So request or command. This is called imperative sentence. I'm writing everything in short just because I don't want to, take a lot of time. So writing in WhatsApp language. So please bring me a cup of tea. This is imperative sentence. One more type of sentence is exclamatory or exclamatory sentence. So the sentence that expresses some strong feeling. Sometimes you get frightened, sometimes you get very happy. These are the strong feelings, and this is called an exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentence. For example, oh, how big is this whale fish? So this is a kind of exclamation. So you put an exclamation mark before it. Sometimes you just ask question. That is a sentence which is called as an interrogative sentence. interrogative sentence. So a sentence that asks some questions is called as an interrogative sentence. For example, what's your age? Where do you live? What do you have in your pocket? Have you done your work? These are all interrogative sentence. I am writing it all in short, right? Now, so these are the sentences. Have you known about the sentences? Yes, it's an interrogative sentence. Okay. As I said, assertive. So what is a statement? Now coming to a statement or a proposition is an assertive or declarative sentence which is either true or false but not both. Let me tell you, now I am talking about mathematics, now I am talking about mathematics statement, now I am talking about mathematic proposition. So please hear me again. A statement or a proposition is an assertive or a declarative sentence which is either true or false but not both. But not both. Statement can only be assertive sentence. If you talk about imperative, exclamatory, interrogation, no, that cannot be a statement. A statement or a proposition is an assertive or a declarative statement only. And the thing is, either it is true or false, but not both. Okay, let me tell you again. A statement, or we are calling it as a proposition, is assumed to be either true or false, and we are saying it to be either assertive sentence or a declarative sentence. It can be true or false, but cannot be true, cannot be together, either or, right? If a statement is true, if I say you something and which is always true, which is true, is a valid statement, Now I am telling you about two types of statement. A valid statement is statement which is always true or which is true. But a statement which I say and it happens to be false, it is wrong, that is called as an invalid statement. Please understand, statement cannot be true or false together. It can be either true or false, but not both together. And when it is both, that is true and false together, okay, then we call it as a paradox. Okay, to the fact that it cannot be both true or false at the same time, that is either true or false but not both, this is called law excluded middle. Law of the excluded middle. Law of the excluded middle. But if certain sentence is there, as I just mentioned, a sentence which is both true and false simultaneously is not a statement. It is a paradox. A sentence, is it possible? Anything is true also and at the same time it is false also? Can it be true? If it is, then it is a paradox. Paradox. Okay? Okay, we'll take certain example and try to understand it more. First statement I am writing, these are a certain illustration I am giving. First sentence is 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. What is 2 plus 3? This is a proper statement because it is an assertive and declarative statement. It's a declarative statement basically. So 2 plus 3 is actually 5. So this is a statement. To be precise, it is a valid statement. Valid statement. Now I'm going to the second one. The earth is a star. Now this is coming from physics, so you can answer it in a different way. Some people will say earth is a star, but we don't. Earth is not a star, we say earth is a planet. Okay? So actually, we are saying that this is a declarative statement, but the statement is false. Earth is not a star. Earth is a planet. So now, though we have a declarative and an assertive statement, this is basically a declarative statement, a sentence, it is false. But it is a statement. It is a statement. So we call it as a statement. Okay. Let me tell you again. Even if it is false, assertive or declarative, even if it is false, then also it is a statement because it is an invalid statement. Okay. So Earth is a star is true for some people, but for most of the people, Earth is a planet. I'll give you one more example relating to the first one. Same thing, right? Now coming to 3 plus 4 is 6. 3 plus 4 is 6. No, it's wrong. But it's a statement. This is a statement. It's declarative. It is a statement, but it is an invalid statement. So mathematically, first and second, whichever I said, they are a statement. Though one is true, other may be false. The third one I'm illustrating. Okay. Switch on the light. Switch on the light. So this is an imperative sentence. I am giving you certain request or a command. So when you are giving request or you are giving some command, it's an imperative sentence. So this is not a statement. This is not a statement. Again, understand, requesting and commanding is the category of imperative sentence which cannot be a statement, mathematical statement. Coming to one more illustration. Okay. Let me ask you, how are you? Where are you going? Is every set finite? Where is your pen? Okay. Where is a pen is you are asking a question. So this is an interrogative sentence. This is an interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence cannot be a statement. Though it is a statement in normal English, but in mathematics it's not a statement because it is interrogative. Okay. Now coming to the next discussion. The next discussion is negation, negative of a statement. When we learned about statement, we have already understood about the statement. What about negative of a statement? Negative of a statement means denial of a statement. For example, if you have a statement, I'm writing in ST for statement. So if you say P is a statement, I want to do a negation. How do I represent it in mathematics? So I'll put a tilde sign in front of P. We'll read it as not P. We'll read it as not P. So how do we make it? So there are certain English language or sentences we can form. We can say no. For example, it is not the case. You can start by this. Or you can say it is false. It is false that. Then also you are saying no to something which has been said. So it is not the case is also saying no. It is false that. This is also a way of saying no. Or you can say not a. It's not. So I'll give you a sentence. And this not a statement. Basically it's a sentence. It's a statement. So I'm giving you a statement now. And the statement is all integers are rational numbers. All integers are rational numbers. Don't go in whether it is correct or not. Actually it is correct. True or false, if you want to see, it's true. But don't go about true or false. Negation means whatever is said, you do negation. If you take 2 divided by 1, everything is a rational number. All integers are actually rational numbers. Now I'm going to negate it. So I'm putting a tilde sign on P. So it is not the case that all integers are rational numbers. It is not the case that all integers are rational numbers. So this P, I have negated it. Denial. Again, let us see another form. It is false that all integers are rational numbers. So this is also a negation. This is also a negation of P. And we can give one more form. That is, in English language, we can say no in different type. For example, at least one integer is not a rational number. Is not a rational number. So all these sentences are the denial of P. All integers are rational number, so we negated it. So we can have a negative number sentence also. We can negate it. So negative means positive. So you will get the actual sentence. I'll give you an example with numbers now. See, we have a statement P, and this statement is saying 7 is greater than 9. Now you know 7 is not greater than 9. So don't worry about the validity of this, or true or false. Only negative P will be simply 7 is not equal to 9. Or in other way you can say not P means 7 is, this is greater than, so you say less than equal to 9. So these both are the negation of this statement. We are not going to whether 7 is greater than 9 is true or false. We are saying whatever is given, we are negating it. We are denying it. We are saying no to it. So we have to say it in a sentence or mathematical formation. Now come to a very important part of this mathematical reasoning, which is called the compound statements. Compound statement is the combination of statements, simply. Okay. See, simple statements, what did I say? Any statement whose truth value does not explicitly depend on another statement is said to be a simple statement. A simple statement was simple assertion or a declarative sentence. It was a statement. So simple statement, as I just said, that any statement whose truth value, correctness or its negativeness does not explicitly depend on the another statement. If we have a statement, it has certain parts and one is depending on the another. Okay, so it is not a simple statement. A simple statement is only when we have a simple statement, we don't want to further divide it because it's giving certain meaning and one is not affecting other. Or one truth does not say the other is false. For example, if I say 2 plus 5 is less than 4. So this is a simple statement. This is a simple statement. But when I talk about compound statement, so we are not talking about one statement. For example, let me give you an example. If it rains, then the school may be closed. So I am saying if a statement is a combination of two or more simple statements, then it is said to be a compound statement or a compound proposition. I am giving an example right now. If it rains, then the school may be closed. So this is a compound statement as it is obtained by connecting two simple statements. What are these two simple? It rains. This is the one statement. This is one statement because in all it is giving you some meaning. It rains. So it's an assertion. So it's a declarative sentence. So second thing is, if you want to take the school may be closed. The school may be closed. Now I have taken two statements from a single statement. So a statement is a combination of two or more simple statements. So this is a compound statement or a compound proposition. Okay. And it is these two statements are being joined by if and then. If and then. So this is a compound statement. And it is not always that it will be only if and then. It can be or, connection can be through or, connection can be through and, like this. Right? So we have component statement, these two parts. So simple statement which form a compound statement is called as substatement or substatements or component statements. So as I said, we can use and or also to combine two statements to make it as a compound statement. So now we are talking about basic correctives. As I introduced and or, we are talking about basic correctives. For example, and or. We can add certain statements with and or. For example, or and. And we also call it as centennial connectives. Or simply you can call them as connectives. Centennial, SENTENIAL, centennial connectives. Or you can also call it as simply connectives. So now we will see the truth and falsity of the compound statement depending upon the truth value of the component statement. Now we'll see that what this and or means to us. And what does it give us in terms of true and false? So if you use or, the situation will be different, the answer will be different. That is, it may be true, it may be false, and also it will change the scenario. So we'll try to see the truth table also, that we generally see in the digital electronics, etc. Okay, let us start. The word and the word or we are discussing. These are centennial connectives or simply correctives. Let me write a sentence. The earth, now I'm talking about and. Okay, the earth is round and the sun is cold. Now I have a statement. The earth is round and the sun is cold. So the first statement, the earth is round, is first and is the centennial connective. And the second statement is the sun is cold. So I can divide these two into different statement. P, the earth is round, and Q, as the sun is cold. The earth is round and the sun is cold. Okay. So now we have two statements which are making a compound statement using and. So what we want to highlight here is these two statements are unrelated. But in normal language, normal speaking, you cannot have this. That I don't have money because Ambani is getting richer. These are somewhat unrelated. Or I didn't have food because the train didn't run today. So whenever we speak that this sentence should have some meaning. But here in mathematics, these sentences are statements. And these statements can combine and they cannot have any meaning. We are just interested in true and false. Earth is round is true. Earth is round is true in mathematics. And the sun is cold is false. The earth is round is true. The sun is cold is false as per mathematics. So how do we give the result of this compound statement? Because there is a centennial which is and. So whenever we have and, one statement is P, one is Q. So what is the result of this statement in terms of true and false? So I am just saying 9 is greater than 4. I am just taking one more example, then I will give you the truth table. So 9 is greater than 4 and 2 is less than 7. So 9 is greater than 4 and R is 2 less than 7. So if you see that 9 is greater than 4 is true. 7 is greater than 2 or 2 is less than 7, true. So we have true, true. So in and, whenever both are true, then only you will get true, otherwise always false. This is very important. Both the parts should always be true, then only you will get true, otherwise you will get always false. For example, P and Q, I am ANDing them. P and Q are two statements and we are taking AND of these two statements. So we have T, true, true, false, false, TF, TF. So now whenever we have both true in AND connective, always true, otherwise always false. That is, all three connection give you false. Only connection in AND when both these statements are giving you true. And there is one more important connective which is OR. Which is OR. What is going on here? It's a compound statement. You are going to have a compound statement. And the connective or centennial here will be OR. So the sun shines or it rains. The sun shines or it rains. Now if you see, these two statements are somewhat related, but we are not actually talking about English here. We are talking about two parts, two statements which has given us the compound statement. So P is the sun shines. The Q is it rains. It rains. So when we combine these two statements, what do we see? The OR will give you a result of false when both are false. Otherwise always true. Did you get the idea? And will only give you true when both are true. And OR will give you false when both are false. Otherwise always true. So if I say P and Q, and these two are different statements, now I'm trying to add or them. So same truth table, let me make it TTFF, the true, false, just to make because 2 can have 4 combination. 2 values can have 4 2 to the power 4. So now I'm doing P or Q. So this will give you true is true, but all will also be true, except when both are false. Only 2 false will give you false in OR, and 2 true will give you true in AND. Okay. In OR, we are talking about 2 more things. We are talking OR as inclusive OR, and we are talking about exclusive OR. Okay. In English, it's different, but here we are talking about statement. So if we say P or Q, but not both. P or Q, but not both. This is exclusive OR. But P or Q or both. P or Q or both is inclusive OR, but exclusive OR means P or Q, but not both. That is, in exactly one of the 2 alternatives, it's exclusive OR. And when we say at least one of the 2 alternatives, we call it as inclusive OR. So in all this discussion, we are only going to talk about inclusive OR unless otherwise I specify it. Right? So exclusive OR we are not going to take. I am just telling you exclusive OR, that is when P or Q but not both, that is exactly one of the 2 alternatives, is exclusive OR. Okay. One more thing let me tell you. In electronics we call it as De Morgan law. But just to complete, if we have P and Q, so when we apply negation on OR, and what will happen when we apply negation on AND? So if we P or Q you are doing, and you are saying I want to negate now, so it will be not P and not Q. That is, what has happened? If I want to negate this, I have to change OR to and P to negative P and Q to negative Q. Okay. Second thing, now I want to negate the AND, that is not of P and Q. So what will happen? Same thing, and it will be replaced by OR. P will be not P and Q will be not Q. This is negation of the centennial or compound statement. Okay. And in this we are going to talk about quantifiers and then implications. So let us start with quantifiers. So in mathematics, we come across many mathematical statements containing phrases like there exists and for every. Now these phrases, these 2 phrases are called quantifiers. There exists means there is something which is there. For every means for everything, whichever is possible. So these are called quantifiers in mathematical reasoning. And depending upon the context, the phrase there exists, we can replace it by the same, similar or equivalent phrases. There is at least one. At least one is there. Means there is something which is at least one. It is possible to find, that is, it's possible to get something. And finally, there is one more phrase, some. So what I'm trying here to say is that depending upon the context, the phrase there exists can be replaced by all these 4. There is at least one, it is possible to find, and some. Let me give you a statement X, and X is given by X plus 4 is greater than 3 for all X belongs to N. What does it mean? This means now I'm using this phrase that there is at least one natural number X. There is at least one natural number X such that X plus 4 is less than 7, X plus 4 is less than 7, or in this case X plus 4 is greater than 3. So that means that for every natural number x plus 4 is greater than 3. So x plus 4, if you give x any number 1 or any number, natural number are starting from 1. So the statement P means that for every natural number x plus 4 is greater than 3. Okay, now let me show you some other terminology here. For every, that is, we are talking about for all. For every means for all, and this is called as universal quantifier. So for every, we'll call it as universal qualifier. For every means for universe, for everything, for every. And the phrase we just talked about, there exists. So it's very specific. It's very specific about existence or happening of something, and this is called, previous one was called universal quantifier, and this one is called as existential quantifier. Please listen to me again. For every is universal, there exists is existential. Let me give you an example that x plus 4 is, or x plus 5 is greater than 4. Now if you take any number, any natural number which starts from 1, you add it with 5, it is always greater than 4. So let us denote this by px. X plus 5 is greater than 4. Now you can write this same sentence like this. If, same thing, because this is going to come in the questions also. So for every x belonging to capital N, px. Okay, this is how we are going to write. In later discussions, we won't write again and again for every x belongs to n, x plus 5 is greater than 4. Now next thing which I'm going to tell is very important, which is implications. So in mathematics, we come across many statements of the form if P then Q. That is, P only if Q, and if and only if. These statements are called implication. That is, if it rains, then I will take umbrella. Or P only if Q. P only if Q. This is the same thing. We call it as implication because something implies something. Okay? I will take the umbrella only if it rains. And finally, if and only if. If and only if. If and only if. If my supplementary comes, if and only if my supplementary comes, then I'll go for rechecking of the examination paper. Okay. So these are all if P then Q. If x equals 4, then x square equals 16, because it is true. These are implication. So if then, first of all we'll take if then. So we'll use this arrow sign, means with the double line with an arrow sign, and this is how we represent the implication. So P implies Q. P implies Q. So if P and Q are statement, here P is called as antecedent. And what is Q called? It's called consequent. Okay. So if P and Q are two statements forming the implication, if P then Q will be denoted by this implication. P is called antecedent, Q is called consequent. Now how do the truth and the falsity will be decided? Okay. Let me give you the sentences first. Then we'll decide what will be the truth and falsity. Say P is given by the number, take any number, the number n, say 4, 3, 2, 2, 1 is divisible by 3. This is our P. And let us take Q. And the Q is saying the sum of digits forming n is divisible by 3. The sum of digits forming this number n, the above number n, is divisible by 3. So P is about number n which is divisible by 3, and Q is talking about number n, same number n, which is divisible by 3, and which is the number which is sum of the number n. Okay. So 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, if you add them, 4, 3, 7, 7, 2, 9, 9 to 11, 1 is 12. So 12 divided by 3 is of course divisible by 3. So now let us see the implication condition. The first condition is, if both P and Q are true, if both P and Q are true, then P implies Q is also true. That is, the P is true as I just declared, and Q is also true. When you sum it, it's going to be divisible by 3. 4, 3, 2, 2, 1 is also divisible by 3. Now second condition is, if P is true, Q is false. What will be P implies Q? It will be false. Why? See, first thing I told you, P and Q are true, P implies Q is also true. When we say P is true, that is the number n which is divisible by 3, which is of course true, then the sum of digit n is not divisible by 3. If I say it not, if I am saying P is true but Q is false, and Q is the implication, that is the consequent, then P implies Q is false, which is not coming right. Third is, same sentences we are taking. Third, if P is false and Q is true now. If P is false and Q is true, let us say we take the number as not 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, but 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. A number which is actually not divisible by 3. Okay. So if P is false, which is actually false, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1 is not divisible by 3. But the Q, which is the sum of the digits of n, is divisible by 3. When you add it, okay, when you add a number and you say that sum of digit is divisible by 3, that number is divisible by 3. So implies Q is also true. Okay. When P is false and Q is true, that means P implies Q is true. And what about fourth condition, P is false and Q is false? When P implies Q is false, it should also be false, but it is not the case. If P is false and Q is false, that is the antecedent is false and the consequent is also false. That is, if it doesn't rain, I won't take the umbrella, and that is true. So P implies Q here also will be true. Okay. So this is the falsity or truth of P implies Q when both the partner are true or false. Okay. Now I will say the same thing in 4 language. I will try to say the same thing in 4 language. That is, P implies Q. The implication P implies Q is same as all the 4 things I am going to write here. Let us take an example. The P is a number is a multiple of 9. A number which is a multiple of 9. P is this. Q I am taking a number which is a multiple of 3. So a number which is multiple of 3 is 9. A number which is multiple of 9, which is 3 into 3, is also multiple of 3. So P implies Q. Take one by one. So what I am saying is 4 sentences and they all are pointing to the same thing. P implies Q. So if I say P is sufficient condition for Q. So this is the same thing if I say if P then Q. That is P implies Q. Okay. This statement is saying or says that knowing that a number is a multiple of 9 is sufficient to conclude that it is a multiple of 3. What does it mean? P implies Q, or if P then Q is same as P is sufficient condition for Q. Because 9 is what? 3 into 3. So P is a sufficient condition for Q. So P implies Q and these are same. Second thing I'm also saying, which is again equivalent to P implies Q, that is P only if Q. P only if Q. What does it mean? The given statement says that a number is a multiple of 9 only if it is a multiple of 3. When it is a multiple of 3, it is a multiple of 9 only if it is a multiple of 3, which is true. So P implies Q is same as P only if Q. P only if Q, this is also true. So same P implies Q can be written in 2 ways. They're also giving the same meaning. Third also, Q is necessary condition for P. Now I replaced P with Q. I changed the position. So sufficient condition is just required. Necessary is always required. So Q is necessary condition for P. I have changed them. Now P is here, Q is here. So what does it mean now? Now this statement also means that when a number is a multiple of 9, it is necessary a multiple of 3, which is again true. 3 into 3 is, if you divide 9 by 3, because 9 is of course 3 into 3. So a number, whenever a number is multiplied, is a multiple of 9, it is necessarily a multiple of 3 also. So P implies Q is same as Q is necessary condition for P. Coming to the fourth one. Now let us use negation. Negation of Q implies negation of P. Now see here. This statement says if a number is not a multiple of 3, then it is not a multiple of 9. What does it mean? P implies Q only. So this is same as not Q implies not P. Okay. Again, if a number is not a multiple of 3, then it is not a multiple of 9. It cannot be. It has to be a multiple of 3, then only it can be a multiple of 9. So not Q implies not P is also same as P implies Q, or P, if P then Q. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you three things: contrapositive, converse and inverse. Contrapositive, converse and inverse. So let me write the example first so that we understand by it. So I'm writing P as a number divisible by 9. Q is a number divisible by 3. Actual statement is if a number is divisible by 9, then it is divisible by 3. So this is our statement. P and Q, I just made a simple statement from the compound statement. The compound statement is if a number is divisible by 9, then it is divisible by 3. Coming to contrapositive. Contrapositive means if P and Q are two statements, then the contrapositive of the implication if P then Q will be if not Q then not P. If P then Q, contrapositive means if not Q then not P. Okay. Now let us take the example and see. That is, if a number is not divisible by 3, I am taking the negation of Q. If a number is not divisible by 3, then it is not divisible by 9. Okay, contrapositive. Converse. So converse is, if P and Q are two statements, then the converse of the implication, that is if P then Q, will be if Q then P. Converse of if P then Q will be if Q then P. Okay, if P then Q will be if Q then P. So the converse of this will be if a number is divisible by 3, then it is divisible by 9. If a number is divisible by 3, then it is divisible by 9. Okay, so the converse is like this. If a number is divisible by 3, then it is divisible by 9. This is converse. Okay, converse we change P to Q and Q to P. If P then Q, converse is if Q then P. And third thing is inverse. Inverse means if P and Q are two statements, then the inverse of if P then Q will be if not P then not Q. Now we have not changed the position of P and Q. We have just changed the sign of P and Q. That is, if a number is not divisible by 9, then a number is not divisible by 3. Okay? So this will be the inverse of our actual statement, which was if a number is divisible by 9, then it is divisible by 3. Okay? So contrapositive, converse and inverse of the same if P then Q, according to this example, can be seen. Okay, one more important thing here is if and only if implication. If and only if implication. What does it mean? Again, we have P and Q as two statements. Then for the compound statement, if P implies Q, that is if P then Q, we say that if P then Q is holding, this is implication. P and Q are statement, and also it is true that Q implies P, that is if P then Q is also true, or not true, but if P then Q, and also there is if Q then P, these two sentences are at the same time holding, if P then Q and if Q then P. So we will say that this is if and only if denotation. We'll denote it by two lines, both sides we have angle bracket. For example, a triangle is equilateral if and only if it is equiangular. That is, if and only if implication I am using. A triangle is equilateral if and only if it is equiangular. Because you can just say equiangular. Let me make a triangle and show you that all the angles are same. Then we have equilateral triangle. So what we are saying is that if the statement we take P as a triangle is equilateral, this is P. P will be a triangle is equilateral, and what will be Q? A triangle is equiangular. So we can say a triangle is equilateral if a triangle is equilateral, then a triangle is equiangular. You can again say if a triangle is equiangular, then a triangle is equilateral. So both the ways it is true, if P then Q and if Q then P. So that is why it is if and only if implication we are taking. Now we will look at validity of statements. So checking the validity of a statement means what? It's been checking when it is true and when it is not true. Whenever it is true or not true means it's false. So this is the validity of statement. But this totally depends upon which of these special words, like you're using or between two statements, or you're using and, or which of the implications you are using. Implications we learned last time. If then, if and only if, or these are what? Implications. You are using quantifiers. Quantifiers means for every. There exist. Whenever these all appear in a given statement, then checking whether the statement is true or not true is the validity of statements. So we have schemes and algorithms for everything. Let us start with validity of statements. VOS for short I am writing. Validity of statements with and. So if we are taking two statements with and, then the step one will show that the statement P and Q, we are taking two statements. So for statement I am writing ST. So we will show that P is true, and the step 2 will be, we will show that the statement Q is true. Q is true. Okay? You are not able to understand? Don't worry. We'll go with an example. So let us have a statement called 25 is a multiple of 5 and 8. So let us make the two statements from here. That is, two statements joined with and. P is 25 is a multiple of 5. Is a multiple of 5. So this example is from R.D. Sharma, so you can just refer it back. Q is 25 is a multiple of 8. Now when we combine this P and Q, actual statement was 25 is a multiple of 5 and 8. So the question is, write the compound statement connecting these two statements and check its validity. So we can just combine them saying 25 is a multiple of 5 and 8. But what about the validity? How are you going to check the validity? Please remember, we have to combine them using and. Okay. So this P and Q, what result they individually give? 25 is a multiple of 5. Yes, it is. 5 5 is a 25. That's a multiple of 5. What about this? This first one is true. The second one, 25 is a multiple of 8. No, it is not. It doesn't come in the table of 8, 25. So when we combine this P and Q using use and, this is true, this is false. And true and with false is going to give you false. In and, only when both are true, then only it will be true. Otherwise, always false. So this truth table, you can write it as true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. When you do and, every time it will be false unless both are true. I am doing and for these pairwise. Okay. So now you understood how this validity of statements can be done. So we have just seen for and. Why not to see for or also? So we'll see it for or. Same example we'll take. Same example we are going to take. And then we are going to check the validity of statement with or. So let me write this statement again. And this is 25 is a multiple of 5. I'm writing it in short because it is same as the previous one. Q is 25 is a multiple of 8. Now we have these two statements. Now let us check the validity of statement with or P or Q is true or not. So 25 is a multiple of 5. When we combine this, 25 is a multiple of 5 or 25 is a multiple of 5 or 8. You can combine like this. Now let us check the validity. Now 25 is a multiple of 5. Yes, true, absolutely true. 5 is 25. And 25 is multiple of 8. No, it's absolutely wrong. It's not a multiple. So it's false. Now let us come to P and Q and now check the validity with or. So if P is true and Q is false, what will be the table? Because or gives true for all except both are false. So even if one is true or both are true, or will always give you true, otherwise false. Means when we test both false, it will give false. For this case, we have true and false. It's going to give you true. So the validity of the same statement using and was false. And validity of statement with the same example with an or statement, it's a valid statement. It's true. Now the question comes is implication. Now validity of statement, same thing we are going to take. But now we'll talk about the implication. For example, if P then Q. If P then Q. So if P then Q. This is what we are going to see. How do we do this? So I'll take you to certain methods. We already have certain method. Okay. So let us take method. Let me take an example so that we can understand it better. Okay. The statement is true or false. Let me write this statement. The statement is if x and y are odd integers, then xy is an odd integer. If x and y are odd integers, then xy is an odd integer. I'm just writing one by one because I just want to make them as P and Q also. Separate statement also. This is a combined statement. If x and y are odd integers, then xy is an odd integer. You can eliminate if and then you can just write xy is P and Q. So first method is DM, which is direct method. So here we will say, we'll assume that P is true. And in this step 2, we'll prove that Q is true. Starting with assuming that P is true, we'll prove that Q is true. So let us take an example. This is already an example. So what do we have here? P and Q. As I said, direct method we are applying on validity of statement checking for if and then. So we assume P is true. So this is P. X and Y are odd integers. From here to here it is P. In statement we don't have if or then, right? Because it is always assertive or declarative. So if and then you can eliminate and then now you can form P and Q. Now P true. We assume it to be P is true. So say example, just take an example, 3 and 5. Multiply them. 3 5 is 15. 3 and 5 are both odd, and you multiply, you'll get an odd. Okay. So it's kind of true, we can assume, but let us assume p is true. So x and y are odd integers. So when we have assumed x and y as both odd integers, and how to make an integer odd or a number odd? We'll take a number, multiply it by 2, so we are making it even, and then we are adding 1. So 2m plus 1 and 2n plus 1. This is xy, and just multiply x dot y. So what is xy? 2m plus 1 into 2n plus 1. Multiply them. Okay, this is 2 to the 4mn plus 2m plus 2n plus 1. So 2m plus 2n plus 1. Now, how you can write this? Take 2 outside. You can write mn, 2mn plus m plus n plus 1. Okay, now this whole you can take it as any constant. This is also a constant. 2k plus 1. So what do you see? When you assume p to be true, x dot y is an odd integer. So you have proved q to be true. This is direct method. Now this is very important because the contradiction method will also be taking the same thing, right? Same explanation will be there. But the second method of checking the validity of statement with if then is called contrapositive method. How do we do this contrapositive method? In this, we assume, the first step is, we assume that q is false. Whether it is true or false, we don't know. We just say it is false. And then in step 2, we try to prove that p is false. We start with q is false, and then we prove it that p is false. This is contrapositive method. Same example we are taking, okay? Same example. So in contrapositive, same example. So we just assume that q is not true. I said q is false, so q is not true. So q is not true. That is, q is not true. Q was what? Q was what? xy is an odd integer. So q naught, that is, we are assuming it to be false. So x dot y has to be an even integer. That is, either x is even, or y is even, or both x and y are even. That is, x into y will always give you even when one of them is even. 3 into 4 is 12. 4 into 3 is also 12. 4 into 4 is 3 into 3. 3 into 3 is odd. So this is not what we are taking. Whenever the result is coming even, that is, either one of them are even or both are even. X is even, y even, or both are even. Okay. So we assume q to be false. That is, we assume that it is not odd. It was even. But what we found that either x is even, y is even, or x and y both are even. But basically our p was x and y are all integers. P was x and y are both odd integers, but we just saw that in order to get an even integer, one of them has to be at least an even integer. That is, x and y, one is even, one is odd. One is even, one is odd, one is even, or both are even. Then only it is possible. But x and y is given as odd integer. That is, when we assume q to be false, we prove that p is also false. That is, p is false. That is, x and y are not odd integers, they are even integers. So that means this if p then q is true. If p then q is true, and we proved it using a contrapositive method. Okay. If p then q is exactly same as this one, contrapositive method. Now coming to the third method. The third method is same example I am taking. Same, p is x and y are odd integers, q is x, y is an odd integer. The third is contradiction method. Here what we do? We assume that p is true. Step 1 is, we assume p is true. And we assume q is false. P is true and q is false. We assume that. And we will contradict it. We will contradict it in this step 2. We will contradict the first step. We will find some error what we assume in the first step. P is true and q is false. So let us assume p is true. So we assume x and y are odd integers. We assume P and P. As I said, the first method, direct method, I told you that this contradiction also will do by that only, first method. Means the solution we gave is also the solution of this one. How? See, what we did, we are saying that assume that P is true. So assume that P is true. That is, X and Y are odd integers. Here, X and Y are odd integers, we are saying it true. So X you can take as 2m plus 1, Y you can take it as 2n plus 1. So when you multiply this, if X and Y are odd integers, what about Q? We are saying P is true. X and Y are indeed odd integers. And Q is false. So X and Y are odd integers, let us multiply it, X, Y. So 2n plus 1 into 2n plus 1. We already proved it just now. When you multiply, it's coming 2k plus 1, that is odd, it is coming odd. But we also assume in this contradiction method that Q is false. We said the xy is an even integer. That is, xy is an integer, even integer, that because P is true and Q is false. But what we see here, Q is actually coming as odd integer. So when we said P is true and Q is false, we actually contradicted ourselves. So this is a contradiction. If P is true, Q cannot be false. This is a contradiction method. Okay? Let me tell you again. We say P is true. That is, P, D, X and Y are odd integers. It's okay. Now Q is false. When we multiplied it, 2k plus 1 8k. But because Q is false, that is xy is an even integer. It's not an odd integer. But it is coming as an odd integer. That is, Q, which we assume it to be false, is not false actually. It's true. Okay? We contradicted ourselves. Now let us check the validity of statement with if and only if. If and only if. So how do we do this? If and only if. So what do we do? The step one will be, we start with if P is true, we assume it to be. If P is true, then Q is true. Can we prove it? If P is true, then Q is true. This is what we have to do in if and only if. Second one, if Q is true, then P is true. That is, P implies Q and Q implies P. When we say P implies Q and Q implies P, that is, we are actually saying it's P double imply Q, that is if and only if. P if and only if Q. Right? So this is how this can be proved, validity of statement. So let me take an example and then I'll tell you how do we do this. So the example sentence, let me write it, then you will understand. The example is the integer n is odd if and only if n square is odd. See, sentence is the integer n is odd if and only if n square is odd. So we have two statements, P and Q. So we can write this statement. Basically two statements are there. The integer n is odd and Q is n square is odd. N square is odd. So now the actual sentence is the integer n is odd if and only if n square is odd. Okay. So let us prove it the way I told you. So first thing, checking the validity if P then Q. If P then Q. That is, if the integer n is odd, then n square is odd. If P then Q means, if the integer n is odd, then n square is odd. So let us assume that n is actually odd. So n is equal to say some 2m plus 1. So let us square it. It will be 2m plus 1 whole square. A square plus b square plus 2ab. 4m square plus 1 plus 4m. Now you can take 4m common here. M inside this, it will be m plus 1 plus 1. So you can write it as 2 into 2m m plus 1 plus 1. This you can take it as k, so 2k plus 1. So now this is again odd. Okay. If the integer n is odd, which we assume, We found that n square is odd, that is q is also true. We say p is true, the integer n is odd. We found n square is also odd, that is if p then q. So first thing is proved. We have to check the validity of the statement if and only if. First thing we have already done. If p is true then q is true. Now coming to the second one, which is if q then p. Second I'm doing. If q then p. And we will do it by contrapositive method, not direct method. We will do it by contrapositive method. We will assume that n is not an odd. No, n is not an odd. Okay, we assume it to be. N is not. So n is even actually. So n is even means n has to be some 2 into something, 2 into k. Let us square it. N square is 4k square. So n square will be what? 2 into 2k square, that is n square is even. So n square is even, that is not odd. It is not odd. When n square is not odd, when we started with n is even, that is n is not odd. N square is not odd, that is n square is even. N square is even. N square is not odd. So it's even. So when we said n is not odd, we actually imply n square is not odd. N is not odd, n square is not odd. That is, if n is even, n square is even. Or if n is odd, n square is odd. Okay. So when we say we have used it, we use the contrapositive method. So we deduced it. Not p, not q, or not q, not p, this implied. So as I said, this exactly means as if q then p. If q then p, if p then q, if q then p, both we have proved. And when we prove both of them, when both of them are true, that is if and only if, that is p if and only if q is true. Is true. This is the validity of statement. Okay. This is for if and only if. Now let me tell you, there are validity of statement by contradiction also, and invalidity of statement by counter example. And these there's not much of discussion, but we'll see it when we actually see the actual programs. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.